So I grew up on a moshav in Israel that was founded by immigrants from all English-speaking countries. My husband and I met in Israel and got married there in 1996 and moved here in July of 1996. And both our children were born here. My daughter Tia was born in 2000 and my son Negev was born in 2004. I first discovered JFCS and Parents Place, I guess when my daughter was about 2. I used to joke that I would have a nervous breakdown every morning before 8 a.m. And I remember coming here to learn some techniques on how to manage a 2-year-old with very strong opinions.
Parents Place is a family resource center, and we help parents develop strategies and tools so that they can go home and have specific new ways of approaching problems and communication with their child.
I remember coming out of here with a whole new vocabulary of words to use with my daughter and how to give her choices and how to present things in a way that would work for her as well as for me. My daughter Tia was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in 2009 when she was 8 years old, and that is a life-changing event whenever your child is diagnosed with any kind of chronic or severe illness.
Parenting is hard, but having a child with chronic disease, especially diabetes in this case, changes your whole life. It touches the very basic mother's anxiety. Suddenly it's a matter of life and death sometimes, which is very, very scary.
Imagine you are diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Your body has destroyed the beta cells in your pancreas, so it no longer produces insulin. From now on, you have to carefully balance insulin doses with the food you eat and your daily activities. You've got to check your blood sugar levels by pricking your finger 6 or more times daily. Count every carb you eat and take 4 or more insulin shots a day or use an insulin pump. Even with all this constant vigilance, you still run the risk of having dangerously high or low blood sugars, which can be life-threatening. Now, imagine all this and that you're only a kid.
They really don't know what causes type 1 diabetes, and there's nothing we could have done to prevent it, and there's nothing we did to make her get it. And that's a hard thing for a parent to accept.
I lost weight. People asked me if I'm okay, and I said, yes, I'm okay, but I was not. You're angry, you start feeling guilty. Maybe I should have done something different.
You're not happy anymore. You feel that you take your childhood out of your child.
Your child is 8, you have dreams for them to be a happy and healthy and well-adjusted kid, and all of a sudden they now have to deal with this lifelong chronic illness that gives you no breaks and no time off.
It's always there. It's like a test. Every few hours you are taking a test, a blood test. Test after a test after a test. At night, you wake up in the middle of the night and you test your child.
And that gets really hard, both for the child, for the parent-child relationship. It just becomes very strenuous.
After Tia was diagnosed, Tamar returned to address some of the new issues that had come up, particularly around the sibling relationship.
It's not easy for the sibling to put up with this big focus that all of a sudden takes over a family when they have a child with type 1 diabetes. That's not easy for a boy to accept. We reached out immediately to the diabetes community, but there was this gap between what you get in the doctor's office and what the online community can offer you and what we really needed to cope with this new situation, both as parents and for our daughter as a kid with type 1 diabetes.
You do feel alone because suddenly it's only your kids that has it. All the other kids are normal.
As Tamar and I were discussing some of the challenges that she was facing, she shared with me her goal for developing a nonprofit that would serve the needs of families. And my ears perked up immediately because this was a huge need in our community, and there were many opportunities for us to partner and collaborate.
We're doing our part to raise awareness, and we're celebrating some of our local heroes who live with type 1 diabetes and do remarkable things because they have diabetes, despite the fact that they have diabetes or to spite diabetes. So we were able to host our program for little kids with type 1 diabetes in the Parents Place Playroom, and we were able to do a drop-in play group for children with type 1 diabetes and their parents in a safe place. And since then, we've been hosting a monthly speaker series in Palo Alto. We've also been able to host speakers in San Francisco and in San Mateo at the Parents Place facilities there. And one of the things I really wanted to do was a program for parents of children with a chronic illness, not just type 1 diabetes, but all chronic illnesses, such as congenital heart defect, cystic fibrosis, and epilepsy. So I was looking for someone to do this program with, because obviously I could not do it, I don't have the training. And that's when I came up with JFCS. I was like, these are parent educators, and they deal with parents from the whole spectrum of traditionally developing to disabilities and challenges. And that's when I came to Parents Place and said, can we do this together? And we brought all of us together into a 3-part program that addressed the myriad of challenges that parents of children with chronic illnesses face. Raising the child with a chronic illness, dealing with the siblings and their challenges, as well as the couple relationship and how that is stressed and challenged.
In my career, part of the opportunities and also the part of the requirements is to relocate.
The idea of moving to the United States was really scary. We have 3 kids, 2 of them has diabetes. It made it really, really hard. And then when we found out about Tamar and CarbDM, and then when Andy came and told me about JFCS and their activity here in the Bay Area, I felt that we can make it, we can do it.
The support that we got from friends and also from strangers who suddenly we found ourselves with them in the same boat really helped.
We were able to put our resources together to offer families support on a level that wasn't available in the community at that time.
After I'd been working with JFCS for a couple of years, they came to me and asked if I would be able to help them with a couple of things, and I was really happy that I had the opportunity to do that.
We had the privilege of being invited to attend a conference at Hebrew University where we have an ongoing relationship to help clinicians treat and manage trauma in young children. And we felt that we would be much more effective in sharing our work with them if we really had a good understanding of family life in Israel.
JFCS came to me as a parent who grew up in Israel and was a child in Israel, and what that experience was like as far as exposure to trauma and ongoing trauma, and how that shapes how they raise their children in Israel and how that compares to raising a child here. Any way I can give back to JFCS and Parents Place is always very gratifying. 6 months ago, my daughter got a dog, Nona, who's a diabetes alert dog. Dogs have an amazing sense of smell, and there's some chemical smell that people on insulin put off when their blood sugar is high, low, or changing rapidly. And she can smell that, and then she paws Tia to alert her that something is off with her blood sugars. And then Tia has to check her blood sugar. And if it's high, she'll take insulin, and if it's low, she'll take some candies or sugar or something to raise her blood sugar. Tia is responsible for all of Nona's needs: grooming, feeding, hygiene. Everything has to fall to Tia, and none of us can be providing any of those resources because then Nona might think we're cooler than Tia, and our job is to not be cooler than Tia in Nona's eyes. Tia was diagnosed when she was 8, and she was in 3rd grade at the time. It was scary, it was overwhelming, and we thought our world basically came to an end, and a new life was about to emerge. And a new life did emerge, and she's now 14, and she's a freshman in high school, and she's just excited about school and the opportunities that it provides and what the next few years are going to be like.
I have tremendous respect for Tamar. She took a huge challenge for her and her family and turned it into a gift for an entire community.
Sometimes there were questions that I couldn't ask my doctor, but I knew that I can ask her.
You always want the best doctor for your kid, but with a chronic disease, with an ongoing situation, you also look for the best community, for the best support, for the best advice. And now we know that for our kids and for ourselves, with CarbDM, with Tamar, with JFCS, we have it here.